Hey yo guys, what's up? This is Srini here again, and these are the few things I learned. So the first thing I learned is how to import a JS file into like how to integrate JS file into HTML and CSS. As a guy who's still playing around with HTML and CSS, like learned in high school, like being able and understanding like we can integrate JS, which is like a super powerful language, into the simple HTML and CSS opens up a huge amount of possibilities. What you can do, all the logics, all the calculations, the computations, and putting it all together. Like you can go from a simple HTML site to creating like super complex web apps, right? And the way we do it is by simply adding a keyword, which is pretty easy, like a script keyword. I'm going to go deeper into the script keyword later. Like misplacing it can cause like a huge disadvantage, but I'm going to go deeper later. So the other thing I want to discuss is about how the browser renders your HTML and CSS. So understanding how the browser literally works and goes through your files is pretty cool, right? So what happens, I'm going to explain it in a way in how we build a car, so that it's easy to understand, and I'm going to break it down in steps. So the first thing when you want to build a car, let's say, is understanding what parts you need, right, and going and buying it. And this part can be seen as the browser. The first thing browser does to render your HTML and CSS is parses your HTML, and the second, what it does is it creates a DOM tree out of your HTML. So what I mean by DOM tree is it creates hierarchical structure out of the HTML elements that you wrote, right? So this is more like creating a blueprint for the car you want. And the third part is more about like finalizing the blueprint or the draw up of your car. I want to build a car, I just drew it out, this is the type of the car I want, right? This is the type of the cars we want to build. Now I'm just finalizing the blueprint. And what I mean is this browser goes through your CSS that's associated with your HTML, right? And basically applies all those rules that you've created and makes it like builds it up, right? And as I said, builds it up. The other part is literally about building up the car. You've got all the parts you need. You put everything together. You put all the things you need together. Browser just puts all these things together and builds up the site. And the last part is more about visualization. Or visualization, I mean by, let's say, you built the car, the last thing you want to do is paint the car, put on the seats, polish it up, and show it, right? Or drive it up, display it, right? The last thing browser does is creates a visual representation of what it has built. And in web development, it can be set as painting up the pixels, right? And creates a visual representation. That's how these are. So I basically broke down into steps how browser like renders your HTML and CSS, but modern browsers are so advanced that all these steps almost happen simultaneously, or it might go even the last steps might happen first, or like they happen almost all simultaneously. So the one of the most important and I would say a weird thing I learned is that, and it's pretty easy to import this JS file. So I was talking about, I would discuss about the script keyword, right? So this is pretty easy. Let's say you created a JS file that you wanted, right? JS for your HTML and CSS. You simply just do script and you write down the script and you just import it, right? The placement of that script, if you don't understand it, let's say you put that on your head, literally at the top of your HTML file, it's going to mess it up so much. What I mean by mess it up so much is that it's going to make it significantly slower. What I mean is, as I said, step by step, the browser goes through your, the way browser renders your HTML and CSS is that it is going to go through the HTML. And when it's going through the HTML, once it hits the script keyword, the first thing it is going to do is going to fetch all that script first, and pause all the actions on that reading of the HTML. This is going to make it significantly slower. Your site is going to load slower. The user, whenever they enter your site, it's going to render everything slower, and it sucks. It literally sucks. So the best way to understand it is, let's say you want to flatten out a city, right? What you don't want to do is lower yourself down and drop the heavy load and blow yourself up. What you want to do is get low, fly as fast as possible, fire everything you got. And what I mean by fire everything you got is read the HTML, read the CSS, right? All those like simple stuff. And at the very end, you drop the heavy load and take off. And what I mean by drop the heavy load and take off is at the very end mean literally very end, like at the end of the body, not even end of the head, not at the top of the head, at the end of the like body, literally in the end of the file, you add those strips. That's a heavy load. You want to do it at the last, and then you take off. This is going to make it, I would not say faster, but this is how like it has to be done. Like it's not, it was not mentioned in most places where I learned, but once you do it, you'll find it out. And that's all about it. And it was like, I would say like a pretty stretched out day. That's how I would describe the day today. And since like, because I've been going like 3 days straight with like a weird sleeping pattern, but anyways, it was, I would say, really amazing day. Tomorrow, like this, the next week is starting, going to be a heck a lot of more fun. And thank you very much. Have a great day. Stay hard.